Just answering questions with WebTech. The facts first, not facts verse. Someone saw a picture of a police officer in Japan and it had the word in English police printed on him. In many different countries, you'll find certain symbols, whether they're international symbols or words from other languages used. This happens everywhere. The way Americans have infiltrated every society with their movies means that you will see the word police and ATF, which is inappropriate in many countries, or SWAT, which is also inappropriate in other countries, being used in movies a lot, and people know what those words mean. Or they don't know, they'll ask about it. In Japan, which is very influenced by the United States, and back and forth, by the way, you'll find people with various signage up where they don't know what the word actually means, but they know what it means in context. And the police officers in Japan sometimes wear equipment that's literally bought and paid for from the United States, and they just don't bother changing the labeling, or they rely on people knowing that the word police in English means police. And it's more visually easily read at distance. A lot of people have said that Japanese is very hard to read on signage at a distance. They have to use a slightly modified version of script that they use. Same thing in China, same thing in other countries. Arabic is either easier or harder to read depending on what you're using it under the situation. This is something that's even noted, I made a note of it at one point, in signage that's used for, well, road signs. And it's one of my complaints of when you're doing Google Street View. It's easier to do things in some countries than others. Next, do you have any advice for somebody that's not used to wearing glasses but is getting a new pair of glasses in middle age and it's multifocal? Bifocal or trifocal or progressive lenses are something you have to adapt to, even if you've worn glasses before. How does the brain adjust, and what's the best way to help it do it? Just live your life and do the best you can, and I recommend the following. Talk to the person doing the prescription about your anticipation of this, and I recommend strongly that you don't go up and down stairs. No joke. I recommend you wear a helmet inside maybe sometimes, but the main thing is to teach yourself to have good depth perception by practicing it on flat surfaces first, then undulating surfaces like at a local park. I recommend that if you're going to be driving, I recommend you get a special set of glasses only for driving. Not kidding. And for night driving. Not kidding. 2 pairs. And if you're farsighted or nearsighted, you may need a set of glasses for using a computer or doing close-up work. You may end up with a set of 3 glasses, or the multifocals do the job of all 3. You're going to have to unconsciously learn to tilt your head. You're going to have to realize that the focal length won't match everything you need it to. Which is why I'm recommending you get 3 sets of glasses if that can also be done. If this is the first time you've worn glasses, especially, it's actually easier to switch mode by changing out the glasses for some people. Other than that, you're going to run into things. You're probably going to fall down a flight of stairs at least once in the next year, and I'm sorry. That shouldn't have been a serious subject, but it really is. It's depth of perception. You'll notice when you go up and down stairs that you're underestimating or overestimating how far the steps are, and it'll freak you out, and it'll scare the hell out of you. And if it doesn't scare the hell out of you, it will when it actually makes you go down the stairs. I'd rather be scared a dozen times in the first day than only once on my last. Next, how can I monetize my comments on your channel or anybody else's? I'm not sure if this is a joke. Please don't post spam comments. I'm hoping this isn't a sign of something YouTube and Google are doing. If any of you know what this is about, please post below. A big nope there. Next. A former Prime Minister of Japan was assassinated. The person who assassinated him gave, quote, reasoning for his actions. I want to point out something here. Unless there's a very good reason for people to give a damn about this person who committed murder, you should ignore what he says. I don't care if his reasoning actually has some sort of logic to it. Someone murdered someone over some reasoning, and you have to decide if that reasoning would be a reasonable and prudent person's justification in a court to put someone to death under the death penalty. Now let's review under that. Yeah, but yes, a lot of people don't like Donald Trump and want him dead. That doesn't mean he should die. A lot of people don't like Barack Obama and want him dead. But that doesn't mean that you would be able to take him into court and kill him. It's illegal to kill people extrajudicially. Yeah, but if any of you are doing a yeah, but about any politician or any famous person, I don't like Alex Jones, but I wouldn't wish death on him much. But the point is, would reasonable and prudent, dispassionate persons say that this person deserves to die? The answer is no if you're not aware of it. I mean, Donald Trump deserves to be forgotten, ignored, maybe even jailed for a while, but killing him, no. Same thing with Obama and the rest of them. And when people spout rhetoric about someone needing to die, you get this kind of a murder. The guy who murdered this former politician in Japan took advantage of the fact that the Japanese government doesn't protect their former politicians much, or at all. They were complacent. And for some reason, him claiming some political hot button issue about a cult, somehow we have to listen to this guy talking. He murdered somebody and is trying to justify it because of something that happened to his mom, because of some unrelated group of people doing it to his mom. Not the person he killed. He originally was going to stalk and harm people who were part of the Unification Church, or quote unquote the Moonies. Yes, they're a cult. Yes, they do mind control and fuck with people. I understand that. What the fuck has that got to do with the former prime minister, that the only reason anybody's associating him with this is an assertion made by a political party that's worried about TV licensing? No, that's not an oversimplification. That's probably where this came from. So far, that's the only place anybody's linked it. The guy read some random post on Reddit or something about some politicians making a claim that is full of shit, most likely. No, is full of shit, because there's no proof offered. And this person took it seriously. Instead of attacking the cult leader or the cult, the person was deflected to attacking somebody not related to the subject. At that point, the rationalization or irrationalization of the murderer is not relevant. He is a murderer. I don't care what his reasoning was. Was he killing somebody that would have been brought into a court, found guilty of something, and put to death? If the answer is no, then he's a murderer, and I don't give a shit what his rationalization is. And now that we have going to discuss this, is there proof that Abe, the person who was murdered, had anything to do with the Unification Church or the Moonies? I haven't found anybody who's willing to post anything that can be double-checked to show anything. Period. I can't find anything. I'm sure there's something in Japanese language only someplace, but nobody's posted anything about it. Nobody's even bothered to provide any proof of it. Bring me the proof. And again, if he was associated with a religion or a church or promoted them, would that deserve a death penalty in Japan? If the answer is no, then the murderer is still a murderer, and the murderer is still a murderer, and it doesn't matter. You don't like Joe Biden, fuck Joe Biden, or let's go Brandon. Okay, and you don't like him and you want him dead. Why? Because you don't like him? Because he beat your favorite person, Trump? Is that actually something you can put someone to death for? No. Then I don't want to hear what you have to say about it until you stop saying that. What about Trump? Trump is not actually the leader of the QAnon group. It's actually a couple of people who bullshitted being Q. QAnon is a cult. QAnon is led by two people who hid their identity and got outed eventually. They're not headed by Trump. They're an invasive species of conservative and crazy. Does Trump need to die? Did he do something deserving of death? He was involved in a coup d'etat, but I wouldn't put him to death for it. I would bar him from being famous. I wouldn't kill him. That wouldn't be cruel enough. I would bar him from being famous. I would require by law that he be erased from history concerning it. His entire presidency would be erased. He would no longer be famous. He wouldn't be permitted to go out in public. I would take away his ability to be the Don. I wouldn't kill him. I would take away his ability to be happy for the rest of his miserable life. That'd be worse than killing him. But he hasn't done something deserving of death. Period. I'm sorry, but if anybody has any reason to believe Abe had committed a crime that would have him under death penalty, nobody brought it up before this idiot decided to kill him. And him rationalizing killing this guy because something happened to his mom because of a third party, an organization, doesn't make any sense. The guy was batshit crazy and murdered somebody. That's the end of the discussion. I don't care. Hell, he was brainwashed by not that cult, but a different cult. And again, it was a political party that was started over telecommunication taxes. And that's the only connection I can find. So if anybody has any proof, real proof, that this former prime minister did something that would result in the death penalty in Japan, they don't have one, then there's no reason to bring it up. So someone says, you're the crazy thinker here, you fail here, being ignorant of Moonies. Moon fought off charges of brainwashing. 1978, he moved to the USA. The Moonies are a known cult. Big fail. You're 100% wrong on cult mind control. I've done a conspiracy theory breakdown of the Moonies before. Yeah, they're a cult. And I equate them with every other religion. They're all equally bad in my opinion. They're not equally as damaging, but they're all guilty of the same shit. If you're in a religion or any ideological group, even dogmatic science, it's destructive and it's bad. It's a cult. I don't draw distinctions. And if you are part of a group that doesn't do those things, you're not in a cult. See? Simple. This person was correct in criticizing that church. Okay. They stole this person's entire wealth. They stole all his family's savings. No. His claim is they stole the savings of his mother and that's it. So I don't know why you posted that. And none of that has anything to do with it because it's a claim of a person who did something irrational and violent and put someone to death when they have, even by their own admission, have not done something that would deserve the death penalty in that country. So I call this person a murderer. I call the victim a murdered person. And I don't care what the reasoning is because you shouldn't either. Yeah, but doesn't work. What about doesn't work? So, to review, in many countries, they use languages that don't seem appropriate for the area because it's easier to read or there's a large population that reads that language. Anybody getting a new set of glasses, especially late in life, should expect to have depth perception problems and accommodate for that. And if YouTube is monetizing comments or doing some other wacky shit, please don't tell me. I don't want a headache. And next, the Moonies are not the same thing as the person who was murdered in Japan, and that shouldn't be brought up. It's not. It's off topic. It's not relevant. And again, the person who is making the claim about any kind of connection said it was his mother only that was made bankrupt, not him, his entire family, just her. And I've never said that they weren't a horrible cult or something terrible. I've said every group like that is a cult and it's bad. And that's about it for the video. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. And don't take any wooden reality.